Hi there, welcome to today's video. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoyed this video and consider subscribing. If you have any questions about the techniques that you see me use in this video, please leave them in the comments. I'll always get back to you. Check the description box for links to the products used and consider joining our Facebook group, Vivo Vintage Designs, where you can post your versions of the paintings and techniques learned on this channel. And usually I post 1 to 2 videos a week. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get started. So you can see here I have sketched out a little seascape, and I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper. And while I normally don't use this paper other than to sketch or to play around with watercolor, maybe even create some swatches, I find that it works really well for this Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor paint because the surface is really smooth. And that's one of the things that I enjoy so much about these paints. So I found an image by an artist called Cathy, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Cathy Horvath Bachman. And she does these folk artsy paintings that I absolutely adore. So I used one of her paintings as a reference, and then I tweaked it to make it my own, so I wasn't exactly replicating her painting. And for the sky, I used the wet and wet technique, and I love how easy it is to lift these paints and create these beautiful puffy clouds. It makes it so easy. Now for the land, I'm using a little, I want to say maybe it's like an olive green. I'm not sure of the names of these colors yet, but I have 2 sets, and between the 2, I think I can create and have every color necessary for any type of painting. But lately I've been on a kick with these paints of doing these folk art paintings. They are so much fun to do, and they're really simple. I think that this is a great style of painting if you're just starting out with watercolor, because there really doesn't seem to be much wrong that you can do. So now I'm painting in the the roof of each of these little houses. And what's nice about these paints also is that if you use less water and more pigment, they're almost like a gouache paint. So you can get some nice vibrancy and some very deep colors with these paints without having to layer them. So it makes painting very easy. It has taken me a little bit to get used to them, but I am really, really enjoying them. I haven't been able to put them down since I got them. Now, although it's not recommended to blend more than 2 or 3 of these paints together to create a certain color, I created the color that I'm using to shade the houses by blending the colors that I had on my palette. And it was a combination of maybe 3 or 4 colors, I'm not even sure, but I have to tell you, I didn't have any problem mixing these paints or applying them on the paper once they were mixed. They didn't separate or anything. So again, they only recommend mixing 1 or 2 colors, but I haven't had any issues. I think it mixes well. So I'm going to continue filling in the landscape, and with each little section I make sure that I use a different color so it stands out from the one beneath it. And here I'm adding a darker shade of green to separate those 2 little hills. And then I'm just running a clean damp brush along the side to blend it in. Now you can find images like this on either Unsplash or on Google, and give it a try. And you can also use my image if you like. You can print it out and use it as a traceable. But these are so much fun to do. I think this painting took maybe about an hour and a half or so. And it's almost like instant gratification because you can finish this painting in one sitting. Now this part here, pay attention to this part. Here I'm using this turquoise blue to do the water or the ocean portion of this painting. And I'm also adding a little bit of the ultramarine that I used for the sky. So there's the ultramarine, and I'm blending the two colors together right on the paper. And you'll see in just a moment what is magical about these paints. I'm adding a little heavier consistency just to deepen the color a little bit. And here's the magic. These paints are so easy to lift that all I did was clean my brush in some water and dab it so that it's just damp on my paper towel, and you can see how easy I can lift the color to create some waves and some texture in the water. It's almost the same, well, it is the same technique that I used to create the clouds when I applied the ultramarine to the sky. I just used a clean, damp brush to squiggle around and create those puffy little clouds, so it's really easy. And just like that, I created a little bit of texture in my water. So now I'm going to paint the sides of the houses, and I'm going to use some bright colors. Now normally I don't paint with very bright colors. I don't have bright colors in my home. I'm very neutral. Maybe some people would describe me as boring, but that's just what I like. I find it very soothing, but I don't know why I am so drawn to these paintings with these bright colors and these simple drawings. It's just so much fun for me. Now I'm going to add the little windows and door. Oh no, these are the posts. I'm sorry. So I'm using a dark shade of brown, and I'm painting in these little fence posts. I'm also going to use some pastel pencils and, oh, what are they called? Posca pens. Oh my goodness. Some Posca pens later on to add a little bit more detail to the painting. So now I'm painting in the windows. So I'm using a much smaller brush, and it's so easy. Just a quick little swipe and you've got windows and doors. And I've said this before, but these are perfect paintings for beginners because nothing about this has to be perfect. And no matter what you do, it'll still be a really cute and fun painting when you're finished with it. All right, so these are my pastel pencils, and I'm using them to add a little bit of detail to the eaves of the houses. Here I'm using the white Posca pen. And these are just simple little details. You can get really carried away with adding details with pencils and micron pens and Posca pens. Here I'm using a pastel pencil to add shadow for these houses, and I love how easy this was and how well it turned out. So I'm using very light pressure and just creating a little shadow for the houses and for those little fence posts as well. And then I'll show you my little trick to smooth this out. It's really not a trick. I've seen it done before. I'm not the first one to do it, but it was fun. I used a cotton swab to soften those pencil lines, that pastel pencil, and to create a soft shadow. Now, of course, if you don't have a cotton swab on hand, you can use a little bit of a paper towel or a tissue to soften up those lines and blend them in so that you don't have those pencil scrapes or, pencil lines. And now I'm using a very fine tip micron pen to outline everything, and that makes your edges nice and crisp, and it gives each element of your painting a clearer definition. Then, of course, I couldn't leave well enough alone, so I decided to create a little, some tufts of grass here and there, and then I used the white Posca pen to add some little white dots to make them look like flowers. So you can see I created a couple of little tufts here and there, and now I'm using the white Posca pen to add a few little dots to make them look like flowers. And this just makes it a little bit more interesting, adds a little bit more detail. Again, you can get very carried away with this type of painting. Well, we are nearing the end of this painting. You can see I'm just adding some detail here and there, just some finishing touches. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you give it a try. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.